going on, fam? Back. See, here's the thing. What do men need in relationships? And do y'all really want to know? So we're going to start off and have a little round table here and see what the general consensus is before we start drilling down into helping our women folk friend out with some of the things y'all might need to know. So, Carl, let me see your top 3 things that as a man you need in a relationship.
I almost put them all in one. No, because
you good?
When this topic was brought up, I said, "Oh, this is gonna be easy," and then I had to think about it. It's like, I don't know, it's kind of hard because my top 1 and maybe 1A and 1B is peace. Just give me some peace. It's I don't know. A lot of times people say, well, I need a woman that can know me for myself and somebody that can cook for me and just give me some peace. If I say, hey, I want to be able to just kind of chill today. I don't need, well, what's wrong with you? And how just no, man. Now we not peaceful.
You gonna make me laugh.
You know what I mean? Now we not peaceful. I just need some peace. And it's like, it's not that I don't like you. It's not that I don't love you. It's not that I don't want to be with you. But right now, I just need a little bit of downtime. And even in whatever, even if we go, we go out. What do you want to eat today? Oh, I don't care. Okay, well, let's go here. Why you pick that? Why you? Oh,
you asked me.
You asked me. Just relax. And I know that's hard for women. Yep. I'm sorry. I mean, I don't want to stereotype, but I know that women are wired differently. And I hear this all the time. Women need communication more so than men do.
A lot more. Yeah.
They really want to know what you're feeling, what you're thinking, and they want to discuss those feelings. And like you said, Eugene, drill down to root causes. Men don't need all that.
And that's why I say family is what men need. Not what y'all need, but what we
ding,
need.
Ding, ding.
So Carl has peace for 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5.
Yeah.
1A, 1B.
1A, 1B, and then I'm gonna try to, as you go along, I might add a 2 and a 3. But
okay,
right.
That's a good start.
B, your top 3.
Oh, you're gonna put me on the spot with
of
the
course.
Top 3.
Yeah.
Okay, so we all are, the elephant in the room is peace, right? And just me being me, I always joke with my lady. I say, I want a woman that'll buy me a Porsche because that's my dream. But we can't go into that. That's detailed. But
family, B is chasing the bag.
No, we can go into that. Because,
thank you.
Because
women want my Porsche.
Women do it. I need a man that can provide for me. So yeah, okay.
I like that. So we're gonna put that as number 1.
Okay.
But we got to get more realistic in the
that's not unrealistic. I mean, hey, she out there.
I like to aim big. But when we're talking just, man to woman, I think the biggest thing, and it can kind of tie back to the pieces, you want a good partner, right? And that can be encompassed in many things, but I think, generally speaking, you know what a good partner is. I mean, we're not meant here to be by ourselves as men. We're supposed to procreate, have somebody by our side, but you want a good person by your side. So, big answer, but a good partner.
Okay, that's 1.
That's 1. But of course, it can encompass into the 1A, 1B, 1C. So if you want to go
give me 2 more.
Okay. Good. So out of that good partner, right? Let me just expand on that more because at the Bible it says, and this I'm gonna put this as kind of like the part 2. So this will be my second one. You're looking at your woman, you're looking at that as a partner in marriage down the line. You guys are married. I'm hopefully married one day. Pray for me, fingers crossed. But look at the Bible. He who finds a woman, a wife, let me quote it correctly.
Yeah, because
so
there's
Proverbs.
I was gonna say let's get it right.
Yeah, so I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna
find a whole lot of women.
So we want to get straight to it. Proverbs 18:22. This is amplifies. I want to amplify it for our audience, just to help it out. But he who finds, in parentheses, a true and faithful. So I'll put that, in the parentheses, close parentheses, wife finds a good thing and obtains favor and approval from the Lord. So that's like my number 2 and number 3, because you want that partner that eventually turns into a good wife that brings favor into your life. And you can translate that back. That favor is peace, partnership, confidant, all of that. So the Porsche's at the top, but those other three things are good too.
So there you go.
Mm-hmm.
For me, top 3: respect, honesty, and loyalty. And start with respect, because that's the number one. I think that a lot of times people, or shall I say women, will misconstrue that term, respect, when it comes to their man. Because I think a lot of them think that it means, you got to bow down to him and you have to be subservient. And that's not what it means at all to us.
No, not at
for
all.
us, respect is simple things, admiration, acknowledgement, things of that nature, because I think that when we come on the scene as men, there's so much stuff that we battle on a day-to-day basis out here in these streets. That when we get home, when we get to the confines of a relationship, we want to be able to, for lack of a better term, let our hair down, be comfortable, relax, and Carl, to your point, can I have some peace? What you need? What the hell what you need peace? I need peace because, woman, I've been out here fighting these folks. I come here, can I decompress? This, that, and the third. Or from a questioning standpoint, you're asked, hey, what do you want to do? Well, it doesn't matter. What you mean it don't matter? Well, you asked me and I told you. So,
Pick something.
Right. And if I want something, then that's what I'll say. Because I think a lot of times when we are dealing with relationships, communication is key.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
But I'm a big fan of honest communication. If you don't want to hear what I have to say, then don't ask me. Because at this stage of the game, being in our early 50s, we're pretty much settled in where we're going to be. So when was the last time you lied about something?
It's been a while.
Right. Because you don't have to now.
And the only time I did that in a relationship was to keep peace.
Ooh, yeah.
Honest. I mean, and that's
a
just
good
honest.
one. Yeah.
It's like, I'm not going,
You pick your battles.
Yeah, you pick your battles. Like, is that, you want to go here? Sure.
See,
I don't.
You mad the whole ride.
I'm mad
because part of it is too, you don't want to hurt their feelings.
I don't want to hurt, and it's not a lie. And these lies are lies.
Little white lie.
Well, a lie is a lie, so we're just gonna say that. But
you're trying to help.
A lot of it is, for me, it is I don't want to get into a deeper discussion. Now, here's the thing about, and you're right, respect has got to be on the top 3, and I think that's for everybody. Yeah. And we've kind of all said it in different ways. Respect my boundaries. Respect my right to want to not be with you in the moment. I mean, it's just, because I would do the same for you.
Respect my gangster.
Because I would do that part too.
Hey,
valid.
But it gets to the point where, communication is very key as well. I do admit I have a hard time with that sometimes because I don't want to get into deeper discussions.
Yeah.
I don't want to get into, and I've said it before, unnecessary arguments. So you may ask me a question. I haven't done this in a while, but you may ask me a question and I'll give you an answer that I think you want to hear so that we can just move off of that. And go
right, because if you get into a deeper discussion, then we have the ability to foreshadow where this is going.
Absolutely.
First thing in the morning, I got a meeting at 8:00. You want to start talking at 7:50 about something that happened 3 days ago, and one question leads to two questions leads to three, and the next thing you know, well, why you got attitude? I just told you I got a meeting at 8:00. It's 7:58.
and I got to turn my camera on.
so I again, fam, we here to help, because one of the things that I thought about too, and I was gonna try to segue this into the discussion when we talk about men and what we need. There used to be a time where women outnumbered men, and we could say, "Hey, I got options." Well, guess what? I looked it up, and now we outnumber women on the planet by just a small smidgen. Yes.
Yeah, no kidding.
And they say by 2050, it's going to be even. 50% men, 50% women. So now, fellas, Y'all can't be saying I got options because you might not have options. Or if you got options, then hell, she got options too. So
Yeah.
we got to make sure that, you know, we are communicating you know, our needs. And it's interesting because my top three, like I said, were respect, honesty, and loyalty. Brandon, you had your Porsche. Carl, you had peace. But as I went through, I found that the general consensus is top three are respect, admiration, and appreciation.
Mm-hmm.
And the study that I was looking at, it went across the, you know, the ethnic line. So,
Okay.
you know, when we talk about what men want, we talk about men, not just black men, but white. And I found it to be interesting because that's a tell. Because respect being the top one, I think, you know, we have to take some semblance of being able to communicate our needs to our significant others. And a lot of times, Carl, to your point, we don't want to say nothing because we don't want it to drag on. But then if we internalize, next thing you know, you got an argument, you got to blow up.
Yep.
Well, and for those that you just said, respect, admiration, and appreciation. The communication part is women have done a great job of telling the world what they want.
Mhm.
You know, I want to be respected. I want to be seen. I want to be heard. I want to be treated as an equal. I want to be they've done a great job of that. And you know, I applaud them. Men have not, because we don't communicate like that. So it's been, the narrative has been put out there what a man is, the provider, the go-getter, and he's got to protect the family and protect his woman and yada, yada, yada. And we've never said as a collective, we like to be appreciated. We like to be shown that same respect. We like to be shown that admiration. And not that, and you know, like you said, Eugene, not as a bow down type of thing, but just, you know, simple acknowledgments. Because women, like I said, women, you never told me, you don't tell me that I'm pretty, or you don't tell me that you love me, or you don't they're good at that.
Yep.
You know, but I mean, when's the last time you said, you ain't told me I look good today?
Yeah, you look handsome.
Why I'm supposed to say that?
You know,
like, or wait a minute,
supposed to do that anyway.
When they do say that, they gonna come back with, oh, so who at work telling you look good? Crickets.
See.
Yeah, we ain't got.
So again,
down that one. That's
you
tough.
know, I think one of the things too, when you talk about appreciation, and because, you know, as men, we don't get it a lot of times, it throws me off sometimes when I do get it.
Oh, all the time. Throw me off.
You know, my wife told me the other day, you know, thanks for putting up the patio furniture, you know, for the winter. And I'm like, who is that? Who you talking?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then a lot of times, because it throws us off, I just think that it means you don't get it enough, and it's not consistent to where you're used to it. You know, and then you have to deal with, well, okay, maybe I won't say it. And it's not that, ladies, it's not that we don't appreciate the appreciation. It's just, if it was more consistent, it would help us to get used to it so that we would be able to, you know, react in a respectful way.
Let me ask this to both of y'all. Mm-hmm. If you get that appreciation or that does it make you feel soft?
Eugene,
you know, it make me feel like you finna ask me for something. You set me up.
Okay.
But, so I got to tread lightly.
Good,
you know?
Good point. But to answer that, Carl, I want to say it's like you were saying, it's kind of shocking. It's like you're hearing a foreign language, right? So when you hear that, I have an example, like my lady now. I'm not used to being in relationships where I hear I thank you or I appreciate you. I'm used to, you a man, you're supposed to do that.
Oh, Brandon.
Somebody told you that? You a man, you're supposed to do that.
Yeah, I heard that before.
Chick, if you don't get to,
congratulations, Brandon.
Thank you. I can get in this ring with y'all. But so coming from it now with my lady, if I've done something, whether it's big or small, it's like, you know, she's like, thank you, I appreciate you. I'm like, you ain't about to just, that's what you're supposed to do? I'm like, wait a minute, okay. And it's like you hearing Greek, you know? But you're right, you do. It's not the soft, fuzzy feeling, but it's like a
warm, a little warm.
It's refreshing, you know, that appreciation. And I did some research too, and it's funny. I see a recurring thing. I think, man, we're simple creatures when we come to the stuff we want, and it should be easy. But of course, look at the world, it's not. Because there's a website called marriage.com. You know, tons of cool articles, Tons
Did
of
you know
insight
about
on there.
that?
No, I just
I'm
found
married
this
and I
out.
did.
I was gonna say the single
I
man
know
knows
find
about marriage.
marriage.com. But there was I was just doing some research for the topic, and they made a big long article about 21 things men want in relationships.
Mm-hmm.
And I just went through the top 5, and we done went through them already. So I'm like, okay, what's number 1? They ranked it in order. I'm not sure if the top was from best to lowest, but first thing on their list was respect. Went through that. Number 2, trust. I think we already said that. Number 3, you didn't get to this one yet, support. Number 4, appreciation. I think we were just getting there. And number 5 was communication. So I feel like I don't think we ask for a lot, but it gets missed sometimes.
Yeah, but you know what? I think too that, and we can go into support because I think that's a good one as well.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that, a lot of times when we want to communicate our needs, it's almost like it's never the right time. Because if you say, well, I want to talk about something, or you think to yourself, I want to talk to my wife about something, then for me anyway, it's always like something else comes up. Because no offense to our wives and our significant others, but when y'all got drama, everything else pales in comparison.
True.
And yeah. So nothing I say is going to trump the day you had at work. If I tell you I just, my kidney failed on me, you don't want to hear that because you talking about the heifer that didn't respond to your email. So then we got to have
we can talk about your kidney later. We need to talk about this now.
See?
And I think, okay, I'm glad I'm not alone in that. No, because
nope, you're not alone.
I had the discussion the other day with my wife. She's going, and I mean, we both have had a lot of things going on in our personal lives. And she has been dealing with a lot and going through a lot. And then something came up and she was like, well, why didn't you tell me? And I said, well, what difference would it make? Because I know what you're going through.
Mm-hmm.
So if I tell you that, it's like, I just don't want to pile something on top of you, even though I'll deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
And which is a man thing too, which is why we got high blood pressure and all everything else. I'll deal with it.
I got it.
I'll be all right. Be a man.
But it's one of those things where it's like you said, if your woman's got issues, her issues are your issues. If you have issues, your issues are your issues.
And that's where, if we can get into support,
Mm-hmm.
because what does support mean to you, Brandon? I know what it means to me, but what does it mean to you, and how can you, or how do you effectively communicate the fact that you need support from your lady?
True. Being as somebody that has struggled with that in relationships, I don't have the best picture of it. I have an idea of it. I think is
ideally, what would you like to see? And look in the camera.
You want me to talk to somebody? You want me to talk to?
Because there's somebody out there that's in your shoes and they like, come on, man, I need it.
Okay, just if I wake up, I got my genie. What's my support look like? I'm an early bird. I just need the good morning, love you. That's a good start to the day from your woman. That's what you want, because how you start your day is everything. If you start your day like you're saying with the argument right before you hop on a Zoom meeting, you think you're going to be thinking about the topic of that meeting.
Somebody say something and you be like, the hell with you.
Exactly.
Eugene, you weren't on mute. Oh,
not you done cussed out a client. So now you just want that good start to the day, and you want that throughout the day. And of course, every day is in rainbows and sunshine. But at the same time, you're like, with the right person, I can get through this storm with them. They will support you through that storm, other than coming in and, like you saying, let me dump 50 more problems on top of your bad day. Let's acquiesce and balance it out. So I think that's another thing. You just want that rock throughout the day, Like in the Bible, you want your rib, right? You don't want them to crack your rib. You want them to be the part of your rib. So
Okay. So for me, and I'm going to ask y'all this question, because what I find is that if I'm going through something and I feel like I'm not being supported, I know what that means, but I haven't said anything to my wife. So how is she supposed to know? Because that goes back into one of the other things that men need. We need women to understand we can't read their minds. You have to verbalize what it is that you want. Because I think we've all been in a situation where you've heard that comment, well, you should have known.
I remember that one.
Mm-hmm. Well, okay, you're right. But I also believe that the longer you've been in a relationship and the longer you've connected with that person, you begin to be intuitive. You know what their triggers
that's
are.
fair.
You know what they like and don't like. You can know if you do something and then 5 minutes later, they're not really talking to you. You can go back, okay, what did I just do? That pissed you off.
Right. But then if you can read that, but at the same time, if something's going on, like for me, I got 2 times. I'm going to ask, what's wrong? Tell me once, nothing. Ask again, what's wrong? Nothing. You tell me nothing's wrong, I'm gone with it.
But
even if I know that there's something wrong.
But conversely, we do the same thing.
Yeah.
And so, but you can ask, but you kind of know.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of know.
But you don't know what it is.
You don't know what it is.
You got an idea, yeah.
Women, they need to be, if you're connected, they need to, and this goes with support too, you kind of need to be as intuitive as you expect men to be. Like you said, women will say, well, you know, I find it funny that you know.
That's the favorite one. I just think it's so funny that.
You know, that's, and because, and once it comes out, you like, okay. And you in your mind, you like, I knew that pissed you off.
Yeah.
I knew that's what it was. But it happened. Let's move past it. That's just our mentality.
Yeah.
Women should have that same intuition when it comes to their man. I think that's part of being supportive, because if we're really connected like that, you know when I need that space. You know what has upset me. And maybe you can take that away. You know, okay, I got to deal with XYZ. You come home from work, oh, I've already dealt with this right here, so don't worry about it. Now, as a man, you're probably going to be like, thank you. But in your mind, you're like, oh, thank you.
So backflips.
So one of the things that I've always said, and I don't know if you guys feel the same way about it, is when it comes to dealing with men, I watched my mom raise my 3 older sisters and did a phenomenal job in terms of knowing what buttons not to push. And I feel, and this is just the gospel according to Eugene Mitchell Jr. family,
Lay it on us.
I feel that mothers should probably do a better job of instructing their daughters on what lines you don't cross when you're dealing with men. And it doesn't mean that you telling them that, again, they have to be subservient, but man, there's certain things you just don't do.
I agree.
And
100%.
now you have a lot of women that are, you know, I'm a boss, I'm independent, you know, this, that, and the third. Okay, sis, you are, but please don't talk disparagingly when we're in a hotly contested debate about my mama. Don't question my manhood, you know. And there's just certain things that women should not do, because ultimately, here's my thing, and I've never done it, family, but I got friends. Like Chris Rock said, I'm not gonna hit you, but I'm gonna shake the shit out of you.
Yeah.
And I just think that, you know, you can't
just laying on of the hands.
Right, but you can't cross certain lines. So B, have you been in a situation where someone has got close to the cliff or stepped over the cliff?
Well,
and what is your
he
cliff?
already said it. He already said he did what they expect from you. Okay.
They went over the cliff. Yes.
They went over the cliff.
I mean, they went head first. But to go back to the main point, should you know what buttons not to press with a man? Because if a woman swings at you, you're not going to take the damage as bad, right? Whatever, I don't care if it's a short man, tall man, whatever.
They training MMA now, man.
I'm talking about your average woman you see at Kroger, you know, at the grocery store. Okay. She might not have a jab like a guy. You know, we just talking average to average. But I think there's a lapse sometimes, because I've been in situations where it's like I've had somebody get in my face and I'm calm enough to register and de-escalate the situation, but I'm like, if you tried this with the wrong guy, it would be more than a Chris Rock shake. You would have been across the room. But it's like, you don't know that. So you think you can buck up and get aggressive with a guy. And as a female, that's can be dangerous. We watch the news. We've seen TV, you know. And back to the other question about going off the cliff. Yes, it has happened. And like you said, look at the camera, give somebody advice. Some women are going to go off the cliff. But as a man, I think it is your duty that you have to save face. You have to be resilient in those situations because not every woman, but some women will press the buttons to get a reaction out of you.
And that's just it. That's unnecessary. Why do
They
you
have
want to
to
push
do
that
it.
button? Because I'm gonna tell you, my mom passed in 2004,
Mm-hmm.
and I had somebody after mom passed said something.
Mm.
I ain't put my hands on her, but I think the way that I verbalized, don't you ever do that again, she got the message.
Good.
And I think if you're trying to get the reaction, then to me that says this is not the relationship you need to be in.
Yep.
Because why am I
correct.
trying to push this man's button to get a reaction out of him to say, well, go back to Ike and Tina?
So
Complicated playing.
Yes.
So I guess we should have said the topic, what do men want in healthy relationships? Because
I don't know a lot about
because
those.
again,
I just got
when
there.
the topic came up, I started thinking about, well, what do men my age and my circle want? Nowadays, and I wanted to kind of, and Brandon, I know you're a mature 20-something, so we're not gonna, I don't want to put you in this category.
Fair.
But I do know like younger women and men like drama in their relationships. They want a little, one of the things that might be in the top 3 would be excitement. What do you want in a relationship? Excitement.
Number 2 is fun.
That kind of stuff. So I've heard, and I've had this discussion with a couple of older women who said, the younger women said, well, I want a bad boy. I want a bad boy. They want somebody that's gonna shake the room or shake them, So when you say what buttons not to push, they know. Sometimes they'll push those buttons to see how far you can go because that's exciting.
But most men, real men, we got a line. And, for me, there's certain things I don't like to go back to mid 1990s, Eugene, because I visited a couple of jail cells back then. But I'm just saying,
but it's a different. This different now.
To expand on that, it is part of my generation. It might not be me specifically, but I've been in those situations where it just that toxicity, passion, enragement, feelings, it all compiles in together. And I've lived through that, so I could tell the tale. I've had the moments where I've got someone running over my trash cans because they're upset. Is that healthy? No. Is that a crazy thing to go through? Yes. But again, it's the day and age. Why are you doing that?
And somebody might have wanted. And that in that scenario, I run over his trash cans. He picks it up, smashes my window. We go through whatever we go through,
and 2 weeks later, we back like
But the next time is probably going to be conversely worse than it was
the
then.
worst time.
But you have to take that chance because it's exciting.
Yeah.
And when you sit in the jail cell or the court,
that's why my 1, 2, 3 was peace, because I'm a different dude. I don't want none of that.
Exactly. That's what I think. I think you have to get on the other side of that to learn. And some people do get to the other side of that and learn, like, okay, I don't want that situation no more.
And see, that falls into what I think the category, because one of the other things that I'm looking at is a manipulation-free relationship.
I got to get up out of here. I done seen all of this stuff. You re-traumatizing me. Jeez.
So, because it's like, we've been through the guilt trips. That's not fun.
Mm-hmm.
I had somebody told me one time, this was years ago. She called me. We were just casually dating.
Mm-hmm.
She said, I need to borrow $500. I said, what you need it for? Her response to me, well, why you need to know what I need it for?
Ooh.
I just needed the $500.
Click.
I said, well, if I'm hold
on, my
give
man
you
calling me. I need to go.
$500,
Right.
I need to know where I'm finding it. Well, fine then. If you're not gonna do it, then just forget it. Okay. Later on, had a discussion. This was years down the road after we had, stopped dealing with each other.
Mm-hmm.
Bumped into her at some type of social event, and she was with somebody, I was with somebody. We were just talking and laughing or whatever. And she said, well, you know, remember that time I asked you to find out? I was like, yeah. She's like, that was just a test.
See,
you done said the
Exactly.
big word.
See?
They like to test.
So
you.
I say, who does that?
women,
They like to test.
women,
Pop quiz.
and I'm just gonna say it, and feminized dudes, because they'll turn
That's
around and do the
another
same
topic,
thing.
'cause-
It is.
Yeah.
But again, all of that, like I said, initially I said this topic is easy. What do men want? But now these, you know, metrosexual, you know, dudes, they like the same type of thing that women want. They'll test a woman. They'll play these little games and all this. And I'm like, dude, do you like her? Or do you don't like her? If you don't like her, tell her, you know what, this ain't gonna work out.
Well, and that's
But why I gotta test you? You know what I'm saying? It's like, what is that?
and the thing too is that when you did, to me, that it falls into the category of being honest.
Yeah.
You know, ain't nobody trying to play no games. You know, going back to we were talking about drama. What I found, and that was another one of the things, because fam, we got a lot of issues, a lot of things that as men we want to let y'all know we not gonna put up with. So, and this is one of them, is when we are in a situation, we're in a relationship. What we don't want is for you to bring your drama into the relationship. A lot of people do that, and when they bring the drama in, especially when they find out they got a good guy, you know, all these problems, because everybody has problems. I got problems, you got problems, B, you got problems. Yep. But when you bring that into a relationship and you realize the other person's a good person, you can't dump that on them. And we, as men, we don't handle that too well, because you thinking everything is fine. You've met a representative, and then y'all get hooked up.
Let me tell you something.
And you see. You start hearing about trauma from when she was 12, what her uncle did, and all of a sudden you like, I didn't know. No.
Hello,
but internally
nice
you like, well, nah, I think I got to stay and see this thing through. But fellas, you don't.
Boy.
Okay? And that
Yes.
we don't want to do. I mean, we know we're going to have a certain amount of drama, but stuff like, I don't need to know family secrets like that.
But I think we all got that right.
I'm waiting to hear what you say.
But this is the thing I say, like every third, fourth, fifth episode is you need to sweep your porch and take care of that stuff. Because I got stuff, you got stuff, you got stuff. But if you don't address it, that's a whole nother can of worms. And if you just bring it to the table and just swept it under the rug, because then that's going to filter and cause all type of problems. But if you had the stuff with Uncle Larry or whatever, and you dealt with it, it's a whole nother playing field now.
So I think, okay, so my question would be, when is it appropriate for you to say to the woman, you might want to handle that. You might want to take care of that. Because again, I'm going to go back to my premise at needing peace. If that's going to be a hindrance to us becoming a couple or becoming, going further in this relationship, we might want to end it now.
Yeah.
Rather than me getting deeper into it.
Yeah.
And here it is. I'm showing you some respect. I'm showing you I care because I really want you to do. Seems like that's an issue for you.
Yeah, fair. I think.
Because if you keep bringing up Uncle Larry and, that's the thing. Yeah. It's like, hey, you haven't dealt with that. And at some point, like you said, that toxicity is going to come into your relationship.
Exactly.
Trust is going to be affected. Respect is going to be affected because that other issue hasn't dealt with. I think that as a man, we would also need for a woman to be honest enough to say, I don't want to bring this drama in our relationship. And you should be able to take that feedback if you say, well, I need you to deal with that. So
I think for both parties, I think that's going to be a hard conversation to have.
Oh, absolutely.
But talk about relationships, hard conversations are a part of it.
Yes.
And that's something else we probably missed that we need to do. We as men, we need to be able to have those hard conversations, get through them, and not, now I got an attitude.
Well, and see, one of the things that we don't do, we don't want to upset the other party.
Yeah.
So, we go along to get along.
I've already said I'm bad at that. So.
Yeah.
See,
yeah.
And
it's something I know I recognize. So
we shoot ourselves in the foot.
But ultimately, though, if the person doesn't know that they've got all this drama, because do they know they got all this drama? Some people do, some people don't. And then you can even during that conversation, you can, probe. Well, how'd your last relationship go? because those are
I
where
feel
you
like
can.
that's a dangerous question.
But
to
I'm just
ask
saying, though, you
because,
just said
yeah,
hard conversations,
'cause,
man.
yeah, but I feel like it depends on the person and your like level of maturity. Because somebody gonna say, "Oh, it was horrible. He used to do this, that, and the other, and she used to do the third." But you won't talk about how you was a whole terrorist the whole time. So that's a
Well,
hard one to.
And see, we have to do a better job too
You gotta vet it out. I
of
think.
reflecting and thinking about what we bring to the table. Because as
Mhm.
men, to your point, Brandon, we got to sweep our porches. I don't
Mhm.
think that having that conversation is going to be that difficult if this is somebody that you're looking to have a relationship with. And it
Exactly.
takes a
Yeah.
mature person, Carl, to your point, to say, hey, you might want to handle that because it's not something that I'm looking to get into where I got my problems. Now, your problems have become my problems, and we got to deal with all this stuff where
Mhm.
you could have done your work prior to, getting into this relationship.
Yeah.
I think one of the other things that popped up, one of the reasons is having your own friends in life prior to getting into the relationship. Ladies, we need y'all to have y'all own life, because one of the things that we fall victim to, and this goes both ways too,
Mhm.
is getting lost in a relationship.
Yep.
You come along and, oh my God, she's the greatest thing since sliced bread. And now you at the family events, she having sorority functions, you going with her and all this other stuff. And it's just, it's sickening, because and I'm gonna jump to men real quick, because for the man side of it, what you don't want, and women, I know they out there, henpecked men. And when we talk about henpecked men, you know what a henpecked man is, right, Brandon?
I know where you're going.
Okay, Carl, I know you know.
Know where you're going.
And for me, I think as a man, that's one of the more disheartening things that I see.
Yeah.
I can't say that I have friends that are henpecked, and because I use the term friend.
Associate.
Yeah.
There you go.
So, these are the men that when you hit a term, you out with the fellas and you hear, well, let me go ahead and get on home. Those key terms.
We gotta watch our show at 9:15.
So,
Gotta get up out of here, fellas.
So and it goes the other way too, because, I imagine there's some women out there, girl, I got to go home and, make him dinner. He'll be home and such.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know it's probably, well, I'm not going to say it's more, because now you just told us it's almost 50-50 men and women. So I'm sure it's that on both sides. I know you said this one of our earlier episodes about your woman arranging play dates for you.
Yeah, that's one hard
and it's
note
like,
for
oh, I
me.
got somebody, I'd love for you to meet,
Jessica's
her
boyfriend.
husband like football too. And it's like, I don't know this.
What's that got to do with it?
What that got to do with me?
You watch football too.
3/4 of the country like football. I mean,
So that's another one we can add. Ladies, don't be making play dates.
But to me, that's
we don't want that.
That's part of being henpecked, because it's like, we already have our own friend circle, prior to the relationship.
Yes, you're already established.
I'm gonna go out with so and so. How you
Mhm.
going out with them? Well, next week we going out with Susie and her husband, and you like him. How you know I'm gonna like him? Why am I going out? Y'all can go out.
Mhm.
What are we doing here? It's like, what are you trying to lead me into and mold me into?
What are they trying
See,
to
yeah.
Because they like to.
We gonna let you handle that one, B.
Okay, so I'm gonna go to you, but I'm gonna say this.
Go ahead.
Okay, what men don't want in a relationship, and what men need in a relationship, is to be allowed to be themselves.
Amen.
Don't try to make us into what your ideal is, because
Projects.
Because here's the thing, you're not gonna be
tagline.
what we thought about when I was 14, 15. What my wife or my woman gonna look like, or what she gonna be like, or how she going. You're not that. You are not that.
You're not Pam Grier.
So
I had a vision too when I was younger.
Okay.
It's not.
Look, it's okay that you're not that. I'm not saying that you have to be that. You're not that. We know that. But don't try to make me into whatever.
And that's something else that we don't need in relationships, controlling. And that's what it is. I think there's some essence and control to that. Because funny short story, I remember I was in an old relationship. You guys know I'm in a car, a certain type of car. So tried to set up a play date.
Expensive cars, y'all. Yeah.
Anywho, she just tried to set up a play date, this lady at the time, and she was like, "We're gonna go out with Rebecca and Johnny. Johnny likes Toyotas." And I was like,
That ain't the same.
what does that mean? What am I supposed to do with Johnny and his Toyota? But he be going in the Toyota. I said, all right. But that's the thing, because you're pulling it into that world with the female friend. So now you're pulling it more into my world. And then Johnny's a part of this world between them two. So now you just get shot into their world. And now, if through their mind, Johnny's your friend now.
And Johnny probably a
I ain't got
step
nothing in
husband. He just sitting there like this.
Yeah. So now we go to eat. You go to
Johnny
eat.
is
You at the
weird.
table with Johnny, and y'all just
Right. It's,
just waiting to go home. But it's that element of control, and not all women are like that, but some are more controlling
That's
than
not
others.
it. We don't need
So
that.
we don't want that.
But then we were talking about projects.
Mm.
We don't need to be a project. I know some guys that are projects,
Ooh.
but we're not friends. We're associates. So I don't feel compelled to say, your dumb ass don't know you.
You're not gonna help him.
No, I'm not. I know
just
the
wanna
wives.
nudge.
I know the wives. I know the girlfriends.
Oh,
and I'm
man.
sitting back like, you have no idea. These are brothers that are being taken on trips, credits being repaired, and all of this. You're a project.
so
Mm.
I think our second date, my wife and I were out, and I always refer back to this, and she'll tell you. We were, I don't know where we were, but it was a couple. They were dressed alike, had on the same outfit, not the same colors, not the same style,
And y'all went at an amusement park?
the same outfit. No, we were out in public, and I,
Oh, God.
like I said, it was our second date, and I turned to her and I said, I don't know how long we're gonna be together, but we will never do that.
We can wear the same color.
And the only now and then probably maybe 2 or 3 days later we were at a concert, and it was a couple. They both had on leather jackets, and one was like black with white at the bottom, and the other was white with black at the bottom. And they were sweet jackets. They were really, really nice. And I said, okay, the closest I'll come is that, because it's stylish and but it's not the same.
Yeah, that's a little odd.
We not out here, and because like you said, the first thing you're gonna think is she dressed him.
Yep.
You know,
That was her idea.
That was her idea. It wasn't his.
10%, yeah.
She dressed him. So now I'm walking like a little kid.
Geranimals.
Right. It's like, so I don't, and that was my mind. It's like, you're not going to dress me. You're not going to tell me what to wear. You're not going to,
Yeah.
do
that's
all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and that goes over to your hand-picked men. I can speak for us. We don't want that element. It's the control again, right?
Mhm.
I mean, we as men kind of want autonomy too. We want to be independent. That's another thing. You need to be independent of your relationship, even though you're in it. You need the friends outside of it. I hate to say it, you need to be able to dress yourself, but
Say it.
it's needed because, like you're saying, if you go out on a cruise somewhere and you or a vacation, expo, whatever, you see that couple, you're gonna be like, man.
That was not his
Or
idea.
you see the
was not
joke
his
video
idea.
online where all the wives and girlfriends like, let's make our husbands and boyfriends wear the same outfit. You see the guys walk through the door one at a time. They look all
I saw that. Now that was fun.
Funny,
That's a
but
funny thing.
but it's at the
Because-
same time you're like, come on now.
And I'm glad that the men's reaction was what it was. Because
Yeah.
had they been like, "Oh, this cute. I like this," I'd be like,
you
"Bruh,
know, go away.
you the wrong one." But for them to all be like, "Okay, all right, I see,
I
what
see
you're
what's
doing.
going on.
Ha ha ha. Okay, I get that. But that's a joke. That's a little practical joke. That's
Mhm.
fun. Okay, I'm cool with that.
Mm.
But when you like, oh, you like this Adidas tracksuit? Me too. Let's get this. Oh, you like this a jean jacket with it? Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
You mentioned independent, B. We need, ladies, for y'all to be financially independent. You good, B?
I'm gonna let Brandon talk.
And I only say that because I can't be carrying myself and all of my vices and you. I have, and this is going back to, if it were the other way around, then they would have a problem with that. Although we do
You
know
ain't
some
no
brothers
real
that,
man.
yeah, you got a sub 400 credit score, and your woman got a 9,000 and she brings you along. But on the flip side, what I think it does is it creates extra problems and extra pressure for us as men.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, for me, when you're married, I think, I'm not going to say it's different, because when you got together with this person, a part of being married and being a couple is you want to be equally yoked.
Yeah.
You got somebody with the same values, you know what their vision is, they know what your vision is, and you guys are working on it together. That's different.
Mm-hmm.
But you start off a relationship and, I'm making 6 figures and, you a team lead at McDonald's. I don't know.
Sir.
Well, yes.
Sir.
Well, you said team lead at McDonald's,
Sir.
so I don't want to necessarily go there. But there are, and this goes to the support. If you are a man who is an entrepreneur and you have a business and you're trying to grow the business and you're working at the business and you get in a relationship with a woman and she says, well, I might be able to help you do some things. That's the support. If she can, and now I don't want to make it a project necessarily.
Well, no, because you got a vision, though.
You
That's
have a
different.
vision. You have a vision. So it's like I can help you build that vision.
Mhm.
So conversely, like you said, Eugene, if I don't, and this is just me, again, I don't want to raise an adult. And if I have to do everything financially, if I have to figure out everything financially, that's what I do with a child. The child is expecting to eat, expecting to get clothes, expecting to, get transportation. But that was my responsibility because I created this child.
Mm-hmm.
I did not create you, my woman. So if you want somebody to treat you like a child, then you need to go back to your mama and daddy. If you want to be in a partnership, in a relationship, we both have to have a vision.
Mhm.
If you are, and again, this is not me. If you have decided this is what you're going to do, you're going to stay home, you're going to do this, okay. And this is in a marriage, not just a relationship, but because in a relationship, no, I'm not paying to get all your, buy you a new outfit because we going out. That ain't, what? I mean, that's just weird to me. And it's dudes doing that now. And then,
that's the norm.
No.
You say that's the norm.
Yeah, bruh. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
Different world out here.
That's what I'm trying to tell you. This whole new stuff, I'm looking at it like from what do men need that's our age. I don't know what these folks need now.
It's a different ballpark. It's a different pressure because you take it out there. The men is supposed to be the provider, right? But what happened is that statement right there was just zoomed in on a microscope and nothing else was taken into account for it. So you've got girlfriends expecting you're supposed to do this, that. And okay, take it from me. I'm a 30-year-old guy. Let's say the average 30-year-old makes, I don't know, like $50K, right? How are you going to take care of another person on $50,000?
So let me get this straight then. Are these realistic expectations that are talked about beforehand, or is it we going out and she come and tell you, I need this outfit?
I think it's a mixed batch, honestly, because sometimes it might just get sprung on you. And then somebody
might get sprung back.
Or then somebody might come to the table and be like, these are my requirements or whatever. And then
sis, it
you
ain't
say
that
yes.
Good. I'm not.
And good luck to you. That's what I mean. I
wish you well.
So I wish you well, for real.
Because it ain't me.
It's the, and I'm hearing this, if you ask somebody, I'd say 30, 35 and under, what a man, what do you expect to spend on a date, on a first date? You're going to get answers like $300, $400 on a first date.
Nah.
And I'm going like, what are we doing? I mean, and it went viral where the lady was talking about, taking me to the Cheesecake Factory. That's not no date and blah, blah, blah. I've also seen other clips, and I don't, social media is what it is. We don't know how real this stuff is.
Yeah.
But I've heard other people say, well, coffee isn't a real first date.
I've seen it. Then because they like it's a cop out and you ain't got no money.
You're not spending no money.
And
I'm going like, I really have to know that I want to spend time with you.
Yeah.
Because it's a conversation.
It's a conversation.
And then not everybody can even afford the $200 date. That might be.
And I've seen like
See,
Shannon Sharp was on one of his shows because he has so many. But he talked about he went out on the first date and the young lady ordered the lobster tower and all this kind of stuff. And
tower,
man. And he said he looked at him and was like, so you know what's happening after this,
Oh
right?
yeah, because that's the side of the menu where, well, yeah.
Yeah.
Y'all
He's
know
like,
family.
You know what's going on after this.
you said,
And she's like,
in that tower is
but she's looking at him like, you got it, so I'm gonna spend it. And it's like,
you got it and I'm gonna get it.
That's not the point of that. It's the point of, because again, and that's almost like a man test too. That is a man test.
Yeah, you want to see how much.
I'll take you to this place, and I'm gonna see what you're gonna do. And a lot of times, a man will be like, okay, well, and this was in Shannon Sharp's case. Spend all the money you want right now, and I will never see you again.
Lord.
Because I see what you're about.
It's a good litmus test, yeah.
And if you just were with me for a meal, well, they got a word for that.
Yeah. and a word of advice to my age group is a good litmus test. You can take them to the steakhouse, whatever. That's cool, but can you go to the regular downtown spot where it's tacos or something and still have a good time? You need to take the context from when she got the lobster tower to where y'all just getting tacos. And if she's just sitting there like, I don't want this. But she all happy and smiles once the sizzling steak and the filet mignon come out.
No.
You might want to just be careful because you got to think about your pockets too, your finances. Because don't run yourself in a hole because she wants steak every Friday.
So since we have discussed that there's obviously a difference in generations, your generation versus our generation, just in terms of what we need as men, what's the one piece of advice that you would give your generation, your male counterparts, when it comes to relationships and what you need, what you don't need? Because I want to get into real quick after you answer deal breakers with relationships.
All right, you want me to compartmentalize a dictionary in one sentence. So
you smart, man. Hey.
Listen, Einstein can't even figure that one out. But what I can say to the best of my ability, put some stars by this statement is you want, and I harp on this, a good person, a good partner that has swept their porch. And I'm not asking for a finished product, but you want somebody that's trying. Because we're going to go through different stages of life. Me, I'm almost 30. So I'm going to go through whatever goes through my 30s, my 40s, and so on. You're going to want somebody that can get you through that with you and not make that worse, not add drama, not add chaos. There's going to be storms, but storms pass. But you want to have somebody you can get through that storm with, other than you got a storm already, she brings the tornado. So it's the best I got.
Is it important that they have a clear direction of where they're going, where they want to go in life? And by clear, I'm not saying she got to have everything together.
Yeah,
but
I want
just a plan, a realistic plan.
Yes, you have to have some sort of vision. You can't just be, I'm out here blind. So there has to be something. And like you said, life changes. You could be on one career path, and this is your life for the next year. And then you could be in Mexico doing something else. So as long as you're goal oriented, start there. You can build off of that.
Realistic goals, I would say. Okay.
Deal breakers. You want to jump to that? Or
yeah. What's your top deal breaker when it comes to relationships?
Y'all go.
I
come back.
You
I
actually
go back in the file cabinet.
And I wouldn't have thought of that question, but us here discussing it, I have the answer. I have my answer, I should say. So we talked about respect, admiration, appreciation, peace. Mm-hmm. My deal breaker would be you trying to change who I am. You trying to make me into something else, because that's showing me you don't have respect for me. Mm-hmm. You don't appreciate me. You don't admire me. Mm-hmm. And you're disturbing my peace. So if you're going to try to, make me into something else, or even, and it's easy to say, easy to kind of recognize. Like you said, if you're trying to dress me the same, if you're trying to say, well, you shouldn't say that, or you shouldn't think like that, or you should, wait a minute. grown man. You
Mhm.
can't tell me,
Mhm.
you know, and you may not agree with me. And
Mhm.
I know my wife and I've gotten to that, you know, she doesn't agree with a lot of things that I say or agree with a lot of my views on things, but she knows, well, that's him,
Yep.
you
Mhm.
know. You know, and
Wait a
she'll say like, oh, I wish you didn't think like that or whatever. Yeah, well, I understand. And I might evolve, but you're not gonna change it.
Chances are you probably won't.
I probably
but,
won't,
Yeah.
but you know, but yeah, trying to change me, yeah, that's a deal breaker.
And I think for me, there's a couple, and they kind of fall into the same realm as you, Carl. I think for me, understanding and supporting me. If you don't understand, because I got some quirks and some idiosyncrasies that are out of this world.
Mhm.
But if I feel like, you don't understand me as a person and you don't support me, then that's an issue. And some of these things you can find out almost instantly just in
Mhm.
having, a decent conversation with someone, So I think that's very important, be, whew,
I
y'all
went in,
generation,
yeah,
man.
yeah. I went in the file cabinet,
Okay,
Yeah.
so I got my deal breaker.
there you go.
So we all servants of the Lord, and I look at it. I used to take.
he's
I
taking
ain't
it
gonna go.
biblical. Here we go.
I ain't gonna go too deep in the Bible because we got to get up out of here. But
Psalms 35.
I promise. Look, the Bible not even open. But what I will say is we're instructed to love our wives, partner, girlfriend, whatever, as Christ loves the church. So my deal breaker, I'm gonna spin that around. If you can't have that same love, grace, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, that the Lord has for us, which is how it's supposed to be, that's gonna be a deal breaker there. Because I think that type of love, grace, compassion is what's needed to get through life. You don't have that, you're gonna suffer. So
For you in particular, or just in general, if they don't have that compassion and grace.
I think it's both ways. So both yeses to that. Because I need to do that and I want that reciprocated. So if you can't reciprocate that, then I'm willing to do it. It's a deal breaker. Now, of course, I could go on for 16 days about this, but we can't.
See,
do
there we
that.
go. And we've come to the end of our show.
Call me, text me, and I can give some more spiel.
Fam, thank you. I will just say, just to wrap this up, that, we hope that we've given, some helpful suggestions, because at the end of the day, again, like I always say, we're here to help in whatever way we can. So if something has touched somebody to, give you the gumption to say, okay, I ain't gonna take this, then it is what it is. And women, you got your men out here. These are some things that we need. We've talked about deal breakers. We've talked about respect. We've talked about honesty. We've talked about loyalty. We've talked about just a whole myriad of things that we need. And we're not dismissing what you need. So I think it all begins and ends with open, honest communication. So thank you once again for being here with us. Stay prayerful, stay positive, stay patient, stay peaceful. See you guys next time.